What's good, YouTube? We got my man John with us today. And how you doing today, my guy?
I'm good, Terrence. We've been trying to do this for a while now, and I'm happy that we could finally get it to work out.
Yeah, man, we had a good conversation last year pre-draft, and I definitely wanted to get you on to see your thoughts this year before everybody get drafted, and all of a sudden everybody have the same mind and start spitting the same thing. I love this time, and I wish I could have jumped in drafts like before. That's why I want my league set up. A dynasty league, the rookie draft is before the real draft. Make it do your own work.
Yeah, I'm not in any like that, but I know obviously there are leagues like that, and it's like you got to weigh kind of how you value each player and how you see them versus kind of the like hedging against the draft capital expectation. Like that always comes into play. It's like who's kind of the safer prospect whenever you're going to make a draft pick pre NFL draft. Because like you said, Terrence, like once next week rolls around, everything's gonna be flipped upside down, I'm sure. All of our running back hopes and dreams, we thought they were going day two. Well, they went fifth, sixth round. They went to terrible landing spots. So there's gonna be a lot of movement for sure.
Oh yeah, because they got these Tyler Shuck people that's out here, touting him. Everybody got someone that's way down on my rankings that they tout, and I'm just like, oh, I wish I was drafting with these folks pre-draft. These people that, especially the ones that used to love them some Will Levis and say he was going to top five and stuff like that. Those people, that's the people I need to be in the pre-draft with. But let's get started, man. What's your overall thoughts of this rookie class, man?
Man, there's been a lot of conversations going on, and the process seems to get started earlier and earlier with everybody's rookie evaluations, and there's so much information, and everybody's they're doing their Devy leagues, they're getting all this information on these prospects, before they're even close to entering the NFL. So it's like there's a little bit of prospect fatigue with this class in particular. I think a lot of people, the strength is the running back portion of this class. But when you look at it, it's like the rest of the class is kind of weighing it down a little bit. So I think overall, it seems like there's a lot of negativity right now. I still like the class, but I do think we need to temper expectations overall.
Yeah, I like the class too. And you could tell when someone really liked the class when the consensus like the class, how they treat third round picks. Man, people are guarding their third round
I
picks.
know.
You know, I can't even like I didn't send trades for two of people third round picks for my second, and most of the time, I got rejected. Like they want their third round picks. You
A
know.
lot of people are seeing this class as very deep, especially at the running back position. They don't see a huge advantage to having like an earlier wide receiver as opposed to some of these mid-tier wide receivers, because wide receiver is not viewed as the strength of this class. The quarterbacks, when we look at it, it's like, yeah, there's Cam Ward, there's Shadur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milrow, but then like Tyler Shuck, he's getting all this steam. People talking about Will Howard possibly, being a later pick that might get an opportunity. It's just so funny how people look at this class. And I think it's because we're digging into it so much earlier. And like I said earlier, there's just so much information and so much data and so many analytics. Like I'm an analytics guy, I'm a numbers guy, I'm a stats guy, but some of it's even too much for me, man. And it's like things are just being made up at this point. Like Mitch on Dynasty Theory, he'll always make fun of me. He's like, well, the yards over expected when it's 80 degrees outside and this and that. And, just, BS.
Yeah.
He sees numbers and he thinks it's like witchcraft. But yeah, like you look at it too, and like the mid first round, it's like people are already starting to push towards the future. Like so much hype already about the 27 class. And people are looking to move out of the back half of the first, whether it's for 26 or 27, they're looking to move back because we talked about the depth. It's just, it's going to be very interesting. And I think there's going to be a lot of variance draft to draft, even though I feel like we say that every year. But this year, I truly believe outside of Ashton Genty, there's very little consensus across the board.
So, well, first, before I get on to the next question I had, do you play best ball? Do you do best ball?
I was in one, the league folded, but like I can't get behind it. Like I a lot of best ball strategy, a lot of best ball conversations, and obviously it varies pretty significantly from lineup leagues. But I like to get in there and set my lineup. I don't know. It's just something about it. I could just never really get into the best ball format.
No, and that's how I feel about Dynasty, but I throw out the curb my urge. Best ball leagues is great, like a redraft best ball league, like underdog. That curbs my urge for drafting or whatever. Otherwise, good God, I don't know how many leagues I'll be in if I couldn't
Oh,
just throw a
100%.
few bucks. And plus, I get the actively use whatever takes I have, like on these early drafts right now. So
Mm-hmm.
can't wait to see what the result of that. But since we was talking about the strength of this class is running backs, where do it measure up to the 2017 running back class? How does it
This is
measure up?
such a loaded question because that class was just absolutely historic. Chris McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, James Conner. Even like going further down, Aaron Jones, Tariq Cohen had some years. Chris Carson, Marlon Mack. So like we got a lot of production from very different price points in that draft. And really, I don't know if we're ever going to see a draft class like that, including this 2025 class. So you had 2 running backs over 20 points per game in their first 3 seasons, 4 running backs between 15 and 18, 3 between 12 and 15. So you had 9 running backs from that class putting up at least 12 points per game in PPR settings in their first 3 seasons. That has not been replicated even close. So like 2018, for reference, had 2 running backs like that. I'm talking about 9 from that 2017 class. So like when you look at all of the years, 2017 through this year, I think it could be in the running to be between the 2017 and 2022 class. And what I mean by that, 2022, we didn't have any of those producers over 20 points per game during their first 3 seasons, but we did have 2 between 15 and 18. We had 3 between 12 and 15. So the way I look at this, Ashton Genty, I could see him putting up 18 to 20 points per game. I think he is a very special talent. And then I think we could see a few, maybe 2. I really like Amari Hampton. I think Travion Henderson, just with his efficiency and, pass blocking skill set and just ability to be used in multiple ways, I think he could be up there. So I think this is a really nice shot to be not quite the 2017 class, but better than anything else we've seen since then. So kind of it's a pro for this class, but also a little bit of a knock on the rest of the classes because they haven't been that great, especially like look at last year. Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah, last year was tough. Yeah. And I think the reason it's getting compared because we haven't seen the depth in the running back class since 2017, but and
Mm-hmm.
2017 class is more top heavy than this class. You starting off the back, Fournette, McCaffrey, Delvin Cook. Good God. You know.
I know. And it's always easy right now. Like we're sitting here before the NFL draft. It's always easy to sit here and look at everything with rose-colored glasses and think, oh my God, like every prospect is just going to hit. And in reality, that's not going to be the case. So even if these running backs do produce, I think there's still going to be a little bit of disappointment across the board from fantasy managers, dynasty managers, because the expectation is so high. And you see people talking up, Quinshawn Judkins as a top running back, Travion Henderson, Amari Hampton. Everybody's talking about Ashton Genty. And then, hell, you even see people in their top three, Cam Scadaboo, creeping in. Like there is a lot of excitement here. But I think with the way the NFL is moving, it's really hard to get that type of production we saw from the 2017 backs because we're getting a lot more committees. We're getting a lot of teams that are deploying multiple pieces out of the backfield. So for sure, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. My worry is just, outside of running back this year, and if you're in a heavy tight end premium league, with Warren and Loveland, I think the class overall could disappoint just because the bar has been set so high with the running back expectation, but also the immediate production we see year in and year out. Like that class last year outside of running back was fantastic. So I think there could be a little, lingering effect due to that.
Oh, believe me, reality is going to come crashing down on Sunday. Like when pretty much the landing spots for the first few rounds are set. And the players are drafted, and all them people, because there's some people that been getting like up in people rankings. DJ Gidden,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan James, RJ Harvey. I'm talking about they be up there, and I'd be like, oh, like okay, yeah, it look too high for some of these people, and so a lot of things will come crashing down reality when reality hits. So we got the game. Are you in or are you out? Now, it's your choice if you want to just do rapid fire or you want to give an explanation. What you want?
I'll give a little explanation.
All right.
You can't shut me up that easy, Terrence. Come on.
All right. Shador Sanders.
Overall, I have seen a lot of mock drafts. I've seen a lot of rankings, even in Superflex formats, that people are pushing him down to 201, 202. And I think it's a little overblown. There's a lot of this is smokescreen season when it comes to the NFL. And there's a lot of people saying, well, Shador could slip. He could slip. And as long as he gets that first round draft capital, goes in the top 20 or so, like I'm still not overly, I don't want to say I'm not concerned because I am, if he slips to that point, because we were talking about him as a top 5 pick, not long ago. But even if he still goes in the first round, it's hard not to take him at the back end of the first. I have him in that 109 tier in 12 team Superflex formats. You see the things from the Colorado workout where he patted the ball too many times, and that was a talking point that people were driving home. I think a little bit of the hate is strictly because of whose dad is. If his dad was not Deion Sanders, I don't think Shador Sanders would be talked about in such a negative light, but he is. So in overall, he's not going to give you the elite rushing upside. He's going to have to be hyper efficient at the next level to be a difference maker. But I think he could be a solid quarterback too in super flex format. So if he's dipping to like 111 or later, I'm in.
Basically, stop hating on that man because of his daddy. But
Now, if he
look,
slips to the second, if he happens to slip to the second round of the NFL draft, which I don't think is going to happen, but if it does, we'll have a different conversation then.
I agree. I don't believe he's going to slip to the second round in the NFL draft. And as far as that, quarterbacks always hold value in super flex league. So I just thought it was crazy how people seemed to like they didn't care about Bo Nix. I got so many Bo Nix shares because people just let him slip. I'm like, well, if I'm getting a quarterback at the 109, you think I'm not going to take that? And I had a good score on him, prospect score on him. A lot of people just thought he was trash. He was old, and I'm like, well, I gotta believe in my process. Let me take him every time, So
it happens every year too. Bo Nix. I mean, by no means am I saying Shador Sanders or anybody else for that matter is Josh Allen, but he slipped in a lot of rookie drafts. Daniel Jones, obviously, that did not pan out, but you always had opportunities to cash out if you wanted to. Michael Penix was going in the middle of the second last year, and look at the way his prices skyrocketed, and that's based on very little that we saw on the field from him. So yeah, if you're a first round quarterback, I mean, Kenny Pickett even had opportunities to move him if you wanted. And he was going, because he was the only quarterback in that class that got first round draft capital. He was going 104, 105, 106 in a lot of spots just because you had people in leagues that needed a quarterback. So we're talking about Shador later than that. That's a no-brainer for me.
I'm in on Shador as far as the NFL. I'm out on him fantasy wise. I don't think he have a high fantasy field. So yeah. Caleb Johnson.
Oh man, you picked a lot of good ones here, because here's another dude.
Because I is ones that either I was conflicted on or was polarizing, or I watched the community do a 360, because I seen the Caleb Johnson love before the combine. For some reason, them same people not talking about Caleb Johnson like they was before the combine. I even was arguing with people because they thought he was going to be fast. I was like, nah. It was like, oh, he's going to run faster than Hampton. I'm like, it ain't no way. Ain't no way in hell. I watched him run through big holes on film, and I mean, I don't know. So I'm just curious how you feel, because I know how I feel. So go ahead and let me know.
Again, at his price, I am in. On Fantasy Calc, they have kind of their rookie ADP or rankings, and he's sitting there at 112. Big back, you already hit a lot of the points. He's not going to wow you with his speed or athleticism, and he gets a lot of criticism because of the holes that were there. You could drive a Mack truck through some of those holes, and I get it. But despite having that in front of him, despite not being necessarily the fastest dude out there, they have the tracking on the field during the games. He hit like very solid mile per hour during game play. He was at 0.28 missed tackles force per attempt. That's just behind Genty, Scadaboo, Tootin, and Harvey. 69% of his yards came after contact. So despite having the offensive line situation that he had and the holes to run through, he still had to break tackles. He gives you enough in the receiving game. He's patient. Huge touchdown upside both in the rushing and receiving game. Dude had 23 touchdowns out of 40 possible touchdowns for Iowa last year. I think he could operate out of multiple schemes, primarily I don't want to say speed, because it's not there, that the top end speed, but I think he can give you a little bit more like in that quick short burst than he does in that long speed. So I'm in. I think he checks a lot of boxes for me looking at my spreadsheet. And Terrence, football games are played on the spreadsheet. Everybody knows that. So when I'm looking through and I'm going through my numbers and everything, he still checks a lot of boxes. But the red flags for him, I definitely get it. And that's why I'm not talking about him with Travion. I'm not talking about him with Amari, and I'm not talking about him with Genty.
Okay. So with me, he kind of reminds me, let's say if he was a baker. I felt like the ingredients he was given, he gave you some good bread, like bread banging every time. You want to eat the bread, but another baker, there has some other bakers in this draft. They gave you cake. They came with
that.
They gave you cake. They gave you all type of pastries, and old boy gave you solid bread every time. I mean, you go eat that bread, but it just don't stick out like that cake that the other bakers made. And I'm in. But with all that's being said, I'm in. Next guy we got Ali Gordon.
I'm out here, and it's based on his current price sitting there around 209 in 12-team superflex formats. I have him right at the beginning of the third. So we're talking about just a few spots here. He's got the size. And I've said this multiple times. If you would have flipped his 23 and 24 seasons, this would be a completely different conversation. The offensive line was not great there in Oklahoma State in 2024. Quarterback play was not great. You saw a lot of teams kind of press the line of scrimmage. So can he create without a strong offensive line? That's something that we're going to have to wait to find out. In comparison, he's got slightly better long speed than the short burst. Despite his size, I talked about the missed tackles forced per attempt previously with Caleb Johnson. 0.22 for Ollie Gordon, so a little bit on the lower side, comparatively speaking. Pretty low given his size. But he was contacted early. Like I said, the poor offensive line play, and that comes out in the numbers. 72% of his rush yards came after contact in 2024. 39 games played out of 39 games. So the dude's durable. He gives you the rushing market share, the college dominator from scrimmage. He's heavily involved. I think he's going to be one of the backs that he can provide a nice 1-2 punch in a backfield. I don't know that he's ever going to be one of those guys that gives you, 60+% of the market share out of a backfield. So again, if you want to spend an early third, great. If you're sitting there in a second in a 12-team super flex league, I can't get behind that. And this is with the expectation he goes maybe fourth round, like really early fifth. It's going to be interesting because this is one of the backs I think some people might have slightly higher hopes for than I have as we sit here, less than a week away from the draft.
That's interesting because I don't run across other people that talk good about Ollie Gordon. I don't run across people that like him. I'm in, but
You're in.
I'm actually in on Ollie Gordon, and I'm curious what the NFL thinks about him. I am curious what the NFL thinks about him because I can see teams liking him, but my prospect score is kind of weighted heavily because of that 2023 season.
Yes.
So I'm more so in love with him because of that season. So I don't know how things gonna go, but at the end of the day, I'll know where to put him and where to draft him as soon as we get draft capital. I mean, if he's drafted in the fifth or sixth, probably not going to be in on him that much. It's probably going to be deep third round. So I might not be drafting that much of him. Who knows? We'll see. If all them people love all them other people that people been talking about, DJ Giddens, this and that, all these other people, I'm probably going to have a good number of share of him. He probably won't fall to me, though. So we'll see. Next guy we got, Cam Scatterboo.
Cam Scatterboo, like, just really became kind of a household name during that run there that Arizona State was on at the end of the season. I feel like there's a little bit of that West Coast bias with some of these guys, especially I'm out here in Pittsburgh, so we're not staying up too late to watch the Arizona State Sun Devils if they have a later game. But I mean, overall, he looks like he's right around that 205 mark, 5'10", 219, nice size, 0.35 missed tackles forced per attempt. Only Genty was above him out of the notable running backs. Doesn't give you the high breakaway attempt percentage, but that's expected with the speed that we see from him. He was fairly athletic, like, the broad jump. So he did a lot of nice things from a testing perspective. And that kind of shows on the field. He's got the burst. The 10-yard split was better than the 20-yard split by comparison, and both were better than the 40. Huge touchdown upside. I talked about uh I have talked about this previously, but that offense goes as Cam Scatterbo goes. Whether it's on the ground, whether it's in the air, he had about almost 15% receiving market share, both receptions and yardage. So he's generating yardage with what he's given, and he's got great contact balance. You watch some of the runs; he's breaking a tackle, he's getting one hand on the turf, he's getting back up, he's not going down easily. So but this is another dude, Terrence, where I could see him going end of the third. I could see him going fifth round. Like, there are so many players here, especially at the running back position, because of how deep it is. It's always interesting to see, well, how is the NFL going to view it if they think they can get a guy, with similar upside that's going to fit their scheme just as well, if not better, maybe a few rounds later. So if he gets the kind of expected draft capital late day 2, early day 3, middle of the second, I'm okay with that.
I would be shocked if he don't go in the third round, to be honest. I think the NFL will like this guy. I mean,
I think they're going to like him too.
Dog. And then he's an elite pass catcher. I think the NFL is going to like him, and I'm all in on him. I've been drafting him every underdog draft that I get in. I'm all in on Mr. Cam Scatterbo.
Now I know this isn't the be all, the end all be all, and like it shifts so much, but the props on like the over under on when these guys are going to get drafted, there was one book I saw, it popped up, and it was where was it? It was end of the fourth, beginning of the fifth. That was the line set on where Cam Scatterbo was going to get drafted.
I'll take that. I'll put it. If you find it, send it to me. I'll put
I'll send you a message.
I'll put a significant amount of money on that. I don't mind that one. Yeah. Next guy we have is, and hold up, I did want to say, if this guy was running a 4.4, I think we might be talking about first round draft capital. That's how good I think Scatterbo is. If he ran a 4.4 instead of 4.71 or whatever.
If he ran like a 4.55, I think he catapults up. 4.4, holy, yeah. I mean, I'm right there with
you. But next guy we got, and I've seen people put him way up there in his ranking, so I'm curious what you think about him. R.J. Harvey.
I'm in. This is a third round dart throw, third round in Superflex rookie drafts. Smaller dude, 5'8", but he's got some size to him for how small he is. 205 pounds, played in the Big 12. One of the higher missed tackles forced per attempt, despite that 5'8" frame. 4.4 speed, breakaway attempt percentage, 14%, only behind Travion Henderson. He's heavily used on the ground and the passing game. He's a little bit older, 24 years old, but the RAS, the relative athletic score, 8.49. He checks the boxes on the broad jump, the 10-yard split, 20-yard split, all fantastic. And I think he's going to really be able to excel in his own scheme, but also like that missed tackles forced per attempt. I don't think it's going to limit him just to his own scheme, despite that speed and ability to get outside. I wouldn't mind seeing him in Pittsburgh, to be honest with you. Kind of a weird combination maybe with him and Jalen Warren, but I think he'd be a fun back here. So yeah, RJ Harvey. And the issue is, if he even gets like early day 3 draft capital, but gets kind of an interesting landing spot, you can tell yourself that story that he's going to be productive and good for fantasy purposes. I think could shoot up draft board significantly.
If he got third round draft capital, I'll be in.
Oh, yeah.
If not, I'm out because I don't think I'm gonna like his price. Too many people seem to like him, and I don't like him that much. I don't think he's that special. how, how people
Yeah, like I said,
are.
I'm in at that mid-third price tag, but if it shifts significantly, then we're talking about, a different price point. That's probably when I'm going to be out. But
Well,
like,
I don't know how I feel about him in a rookie draft. I'm just saying if he's drafted in the third round NFL draft, I'm in. Okay, whatever price it costs, I'm in because I have this thing I do called predictive badges, and he earned a few of them if he gets the third round draft capital. If not, it's more so it'll be his score will be more so boosted by draft capital than not. So I'll be out on him if he don't get the draft capital. I don't feel when I look at him, I like this film. He had vision, excellent footwork, sixth in missed forced tackles, according to PFF.
mm-hmm.
Good little running back. Good little running back. But I did put that for PFF. He's going to be the worst running back pass blocker drafted. I did put that.
And
But
that's another thing Caleb Johnson kind of gets knocked for.
mm,
His pass blocking a little bit. So it's
at
funny
least
that
he
you brought
have
that up to Harvey.
size. At least
I
he have.
know, I know.
But so that's what it is with RJ Harvey. Next guy we got Luther Burden.
Talked about it with Ollie Gordon. It's kind of a similar story. If what we saw in 23 happened in 2024, it would be a different conversation. 4.41 40 time early declare, one of only 7 or 8 guys in this class that was a wide receiver early declare. Young breakout age, checks every box from a market share perspective, whether it's career average, whether it's the best season that he's had. But he wasn't productive in 2024. Poor quarterback play. I think there were some injuries. He gives you pretty nice yak ability, 6.1 yards after the catch per reception in 2024. And we talked about it with RJ Harvey just a second ago with the missed tackles forced per attempt. Luther Burden was kind of that wide receiver equivalent. He was able to make people miss. The one thing, and this is a recent tweet I saw from, I believe, Scott Barrett, a very high percentage of his targets were behind the line of scrimmage. And that doesn't necessarily translate for production at the next level. So something kind of to keep an eye on, not heavily utilized down the field, averaged up the target 9 yards. So if he is going in rookie drafts at 107, I'm out on him at that price. He, like I said, he checks a lot of boxes, but like you said with Ollie Gordon, how in your model and your numbers, like he scores high because of what he did in 2023. That's kind of what Luther Burden is for me. And I think that 2023 season, it's certainly carrying a lot of weight whenever you look at his overall profile.
I'm in with caution. It's going to be about landing spot. It's definitely going to be about landing spot. Am I confident that this offense of coordinator or the coach is going to utilize him correctly? Because I didn't love the other people that kind of had this type of prototype. I didn't love Treylon Burks, but then you just throw him and expect him to be a regular wide receiver. No, sir. No.
Mhm.
I for this type of player, I need manufactured touches. I need you to set him up to succeed. Or don't just drop him out there and be like, "Hey, go get it, go get it like a regular wide receiver." No, we're not going to do that. If that's the case, I got to be out at the price, at the cost. I got to be out. I can't do it. But if it seems like this coordinator got a good track record, whatever he dropped at, then I'll give it a chance. So that's where we at.
Doesn't it feel like, you could say this every year though, but doesn't it feel like with however people feel about these prospects right now, and you just made a really great point, that it kind of depends on the fit and the scheme and the coordinator with Luther Burden, that no matter how people feel about them now, they're probably not going to change their stance unless it's like a massive draft capital change. Like there's probably so many people that, okay, this is where I like Luther Burden from a price perspective. Oh, he gets late first round, early second round draft capital. I don't care where he went. I'm still in. Like I think people are going to be set. And again, I don't know if it's ego for people, if it's just being stubborn. God knows I can never be stubborn. Um, but like I think it's going to be the situation for a lot of people where they have their preconceived notions and they're going to stick to it.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, when it comes to dynasty people, it's no feeling like drafting your guy and he actually succeeds or does well.
I get it.
It's
I
no
get it.
feeling like it. So, sometimes it's hard to get off of that. If that's your guy, and even though you see all the red flags, you hear all the red flags, you still like flag plant. This is my guy, and I'm gonna go down with the ship. And some people gonna go down with that ship.
I 100%.
All right, next person we got, Tej Johnson.
I'm out. He's just too tiny. I hate to say it. I hate to be a sizist, but the dude is what, like 156 pounds. Yeah, you could look at like a Tank Dell. You could look at some of these other guys that have been somewhat productive, but they're not that small. And he gives you, especially for a size like his RAS, his relative athletic score, it was fine. Again, it kind of calibrates because he was so small that you kind of have to do more. I just had the nice shuttle and the 3-cone, the 40 time 4.51. So he was one of only 2 receivers. It was Tez Johnson and Savion Williams that they had a higher yard after catch per reception than ADOT last year. So it's close to the line of scrimmage, make a play, but I don't think ultimately he's ever going to do anything of substance at the NFL at the next level.
If he's drafted in the top of the 3rd round, I'll take some shots on him. I'll take some shots on him. At the end of it took me. I was on Tank Dell too late. It took me after the rookie drafts, but before redraft season to get on Tank Dell. Like, I was like, oh, I like him. Kind of like him as a prospect, but a lot of red flags. He's small. Seen him at the Senior Bowl. He cooking.
And I'm like, and Devontae Smith, he's 6 feet tall, 166 pounds, during the combine. Like that BMI, that was a huge conversation for him. And if you can play, you can play. But it's like we just haven't seen a receiver of that size make a difference. So
that's it. So with Tank Dell, seen him at the Senior Bowl, he was cooking. And I was like, I'm intrigued. Let's see what draft capital he got. He didn't get the 2nd round draft capital. I prefer my receivers to get 1st and 2nd round draft capital. I can care less about them if they don't. But if they get high 3rd round draft capital, I'll take some shots late in rookie drafts. He got 3rd round draft capital. Yeah. So I didn't take that many shots. And then all of a sudden I heard he was cooking on OTAs. I'm like, damn it. I'm gonna be on him in redraft now. He be cooking too much. So I didn't have, his dynasty shares working for me because I got on him late. But so with this guy, I have been drafting him on underdog, but I might not invest in him. I probably won't invest in him in dynasty unless he get early 3rd round draft capital. If he get bottom of the 3rd, probably leave him where he at. But I think Now, this is a cautionary tale because he could be get injured as quick as he get out there. I think if you put it in the slot, he can produce. I I think he'll be fine. I just don't know what his durability will look like. All right. Next person we got, and I'm curious how you feel about this guy. Alec Ayamana. Okay. Let me know.
I I like him. He's 6'2", 206, an athletic dude. Again, one of the few that was an early declare. Awful quarterback play, Ashton Daniels there at Stanford. But 4.4 speed, 4.44 speed. Better long speed than short explosiveness. Like when you look at the 10-yard split in comparison to the 40 was better. Not a huge yak guy, but a lot of that's because of the way he's utilized. Over 14 yards for his average depth of target, contested target rate a little bit higher, but again, kind of goes to the average depth of target. It gives you the career average receiving yards per team pass attempt over 2.3. Right around 50% contested catch rate. He's got big touchdown upside. Right now, he's my wide receiver 7-8 in this class. And that's with the expectation that he gets at least mid second round draft capital. Now, again, if the NFL tells us a different story, just like you mentioned with Tez Johnson, if the NFL tells us a different story with Alec Manor, it's going to change a little bit for me. And then probably at that point, especially in rookie drafts, I'd be looking to go kind of maybe the running back route or tight ends if there were a tight end premium, or maybe another wide receiver. But yeah, I like Alec Manor. I think he suffered from the poor quarterback play, but he has some nice metrics and measurables and traits. That's the word I'm looking for. I was dilly-dallying until that word popped back into my head, Terrence. He's got some nice traits that I think he can excel at the next level.
So last season we was on lock and step. We was together pretty much on all the prospects.
I think we've disagreed on every single one.
Every single one, because I'm out. I'm out. I don't understand it. But guess what? I respect your opinion because you the only person that has something to say about him without mentioning the one game he had against Travis Hunter.
Right. Yep.
You're the only person that made all your points without doing it. And so I respect that. But I guess this is gonna be a test subject for me, because I'm gonna have to watch closely to see what am I missing. And I like this film, but at the same time, I like all contested catches film. So that don't do anything for me. Kind of high on the on targets passes dropped, under 2 yards per route run. Didn't do the short shuttle for me. So maybe question what you hiding. But I don't know. The metrics I like, he didn't stand out in. So I don't see it. This is a guy that this is gonna be a test study. I'm just gonna mark him down and like, we just gotta see how this end up, because I'm not feeling him. Matter of fact, what is his comp? I'm curious. Who is he comp to? Because I'm just looking at his profile, and it reminds me of how I felt about what's that guy that went to the Colts, got drafted by the Colts. Kind of remind me of him.
Alec Pierce, Donnie
No,
Mitchell,
the guy that drafted last year.
AD Mitchell.
Yeah. So his comp is Shakur. That's his comp. Caleb Shakur. At least that's what Caleb player profile is saying. So
okay, I did see that recently. Yeah, I'm not a huge comp person. And I look at Zerline scores on NFL.com, and I kind of tie that in with my scores, and he's lower on Manor.
Okay.
So you're not alone. And I get it. If you want to listen to Zerline over me, I wouldn't blame you. But yeah, like, am I saying he's a top 5 receiver in this class? No, but I do think that I think he could do something.
And it's funny because I mean I've been seeing a lot of people mention Earl and lately. I've never put him in my model, but I always had his score in my notes. Like I've always had his score. That's why I was able to go check out Kyle Williams before
Hmm.
Chris Sims marked him up because I was like, why is this guy who I never heard of kind of high on his score? I went and checked. I was like, oh, okay, this good field is good. So when Chris Sims just bust out top five, like, whoa, that's a hot take
I
right
saw
there.
that. I
That's
like I
a-
like Kyle Williams and
oh,
the
if you look at
draft
his film,
capital
you gonna love it. I don't know who's not gonna love his film. If you look at his film, you gonna love
in
it.
the. I mean, he might be creeping up into the third round in the NFL draft too. So I know Kyle Williams wasn't the point of the discussion here, but um, I I I think he could be a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. If he's not drafted in the third round, he won't be on none of my teams. Not unless I give him up the waiver wire. The next person we have Xavier Restrepo.
I'm out. I think he's still finishing up his 40. Um, he let it over 486 or whatever it was. You know, the three cone was good. The shuttle was solid. That 40 and just his size, 5'10", you know, it definitely affects the relative athletic score. Older breakout, 21 years old, you know, but he's very good with the ball in his hands. Over 7 yards after the catch per reception. I just, I don't know if he was injured. I don't know what happened with that 40, but somebody
Yeah,
should
that's
have
what I'm
told
about to
him.
say. You don't believe him when he said that he was hurt. He was just being a competitor and doing it, but he was hurt. You don't believe that?
Somebody in his corner, Terrence, should have said, "Sit your ass down. You're not running this if you're not ready."
You
Uh,
said Betch didn't run. I was like, that's the smart wide receiver right there. He's a smart one. I don't know what
well,
made Restrepo.
and there's a ton of guys now. Like the the more we see, you know, people just aren't participating in the combine. Even at their pro days, they might not run. Like until teams really start to like that negatively impacts draft stock, I sit out. They have all the
What's
data in game data with the tracking and all that stuff.
I think some teams do put pressure on players to run. Like I want to see you run. I'm not going to draft you as high if you don't run. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh well, someone will. If I
Mhm.
know I'm about to run a bad 40, do not run. Because I liked him better when I didn't have a 40 time on him.
Yeah, yeah, I'm out, and it's just like it's silly to look at that one metric and that one variable, but I can't get behind him. You know, especially in rookie drafts if he's sitting there at the beginning of the third and he's getting taken, and you know, I just don't know if he's going to have an impact. Whether it's underdog drafts, whether it's redraft, I don't think there's going to be an immediate impact there.
Next guy we have is Savion Williams. What you got for me?
I'm out. Mitch on Dynasty Theory, he likes Savion, yeah, big body receiver, not extremely productive, but another one very good with the ball in his hands. I mentioned it with Tez Johnson, Savion Williams, another one of the receivers, higher yards after the catch per reception than A dot. And I know it's very easy. I saw a lot of people mocking him to the 49ers. Now that Debo Samuel's gone. Well, he's just going to step in there. I The lack of production, I can't get behind. That's a big red flag for me there. So despite some, you know, some positives in his profile, overall, I can't get behind him. So I'm out.
Yeah, it's funny because I got ADOT dropped each season. Limited route tree manufactured touches. Yeah, yeah. I'm not in. I mean, this guy's not going to get high draft capital, so there's no way I can be in. Now, of
Mhm.
course, if he was to go to a team someone like the 49ers, someone with an offensive coordinator that would utilize them. That would be great. But if you're not getting the draft capital, there's no incentive for them to force feed you, not whatsoever. So I'm a bet against it. For our last player, last but not least, Harold Fannin Jr. Where you stand?
I'm in. I know he played at Bowling Green. He was getting some action there in the MAC. Elite production. He's athletic enough. He's not an athletic freak, but he had a nice 3-cone. Speed is just fine at that 4.71. And you look at the two big games that he had. Well, not the two big games, but two big time opponents that they had there in 2024. He put up over 130 yards and a touchdown against Penn State, over 140 yards and a touchdown against Texas A&M. So he came out for their big games and he was productive. Again, you look at market share numbers, absolutely elite. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I think he goes in the third round of the NFL draft. But I'm in. It's always tough to look to invest in rookie tight ends, especially if it's season long. In Dynasty, it's like if you're not a top tier tight end, are you really making a difference? So I definitely get that. But there's enough in his profile that I would like to take a shot on him in a good amount of leagues and see if he can give you the positional advantage there with what we saw out of him at Bowling Green.
And I think if you're a stat guy, it's hard for you not to like him. If you all about your analytics, it's going to be hard for you not to like Harold Fannin Jr. And I love him. Anyone that listens to my channel know how much I love me some Harold Fannin Jr. So I am all in. I don't care if he's drafted in the 7th round. I'll have me some shares of Harold Fannin Jr. Now I might not be all in. But if he's drafted in the 3rd, it's not too many situations he will go to that make me shy away from him, even if he go there to a situation that might have a predominant tight end there. I'll probably draft him and you go ahead and sit the bench. Sit the bench, go ahead and warm up. Or, and a lot of times I'm willing to do this, I'll not draft that player and just trade for him in a year or two. I won't forget about them. I'll put them on my little what they got on MFL. They got a watch list. I'll put you on my watch list. I'll wait. I'll wait till someone gets tired of you just sitting on their bench, And some people get tired of players quicker than others because I know I tried to go get Morrison Harrison Jr. and people treated him like the draft just happened. Like, you know who he is? You know how much I was like, whoa. Calm down. I was like, you got more enthusiasm than anyone I ran across. Yeah.
Well, then that's what's always tough whenever you, like I talked about earlier, people changing their minds or their opinions based on their preconceived notions and where they were. Even though we saw the season Marvin Harrison had, he was that top tier prospect with just fantastic pedigree. And it's always interesting because you see a player like that. And it's like, all right, I'll test the waters. I'll come in maybe a little bit low and see where they are. And oh no, my opinion hasn't changed. He's still a top 5 dynasty receiver. He's going to be an absolute stud. It took his dad a few years to get going. You see the comparison there. Their rookie years were very similar, but yeah, I mean, it's always interesting whenever you have a player that underperformed, but they were so highly valued. And if anybody's willing to adjust on their price, or if they're looking to, if they are willing to move them, it's got to be at peak value. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been able to give me some shares of Kyle Pitts. So now that people hate him now,
because he's so hated.
I thought people lost their mind when he first came out. It was like, I'm willing to take him at the 1-on-1. But do you know what kind of class we have? We got a star-studded class full at the quarterback. You talking about taking this man at the 1-on-1? Y'all wilding. So I watched a lot of people lose their mind with Kyle Pitts. And then when the GOAT tight end did come around, then they treated him like he was nobody. When Brock Bowers did come on the scene, now all of a sudden you treat the GOAT like he's nobody. Last year, I don't know if you remember, we did the one word game. Every was given one word for each of your player at let's say the top 5 players at each position. We're gonna give a one word to them. What does that one word? What's the first word that comes to your mind about this player? So, since I'm sure we have different top 5s, we're just gonna go off your top 5. Let's
Okay.
start with the quarterbacks.
All right. Cam Ward, I think he's going to be consistent. I think he's just going to be a solid, consistent quarterback for Superflex Dynasty League. So yeah, that's my word, consistent.
And I just put adequate.
Yeah,
I,
consistent, adequate.
yeah. I think he's gonna be fine, just fine. Who you got next?
Next one, Shador Sanders, still my quarterback too, at least as of today. Ask me again after Thursday. Uh, hated, like just hated.
I
And we
put
kind of talked
questionable.
about that earlier with the Dion conversation.
Yeah, and I put questionable because it's just so many variables with this guy that I don't know what's going on. People are talking like the NFL hates him, and I don't think it's the case. I think it's more so noise. So we'll find out with the draft. Is he gonna get top 10 draft capital? Is he gonna fall to Pittsburgh? I think it's ludicrous that anybody say he's not gonna be drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Just like you said, hate it. I don't understand how Will Levis can get more love than Shador Sanders. This is outrageous. Is it a racial thing? Let me know. What is going on? That just makes no sense to me.
I, I don't even think it's that. Again, I really just think it's because of Dion. Dion is not one to mince words. Like he's gonna tell you what he's thinking. He's gonna be, obviously being a head coach at Colorado, like he's gonna be in the media just for, you know, being a college coach, but he's gonna be sharing his opinions. And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Um, yeah.
It's funny
So
because I don't know people that hate Dion. I Dion the player, it seems like people love him. I don't know if people probably don't like him as Dion the coach now that he's a coach, but I don't even run
well, and
across people that
I think it's just Dion the dad. I think that's the thing. Just like, oh, don't get involved with what's going on with Shador. I think it rubbed people the wrong way. I think whenever he came out and there were reports like, oh, like there's going to be certain teams my kid's not going to play for. There's going to be certain teams that I'm not, Travis isn't going to play for. Blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't know. All right, Jackson Dart hype, and it's more like it started really at the Senior Bowl.
is it
Like
overhyped?
I think so. Like he's being talked about going, like you see a mock to the Saints at pick 9 a lot. I just uh, it, overhype that. I like that. We'll go with overhype.
I put potential. Um, as a fantasy option, I think I like him more than the other two you mentioned as a fantasy option. As a real
He
life quarterback, he gonna need some work.
Well, and that's my thing too. Like I don't want to say he's the same player as Matt Corral, but coming out of that Lane Kiffin offense, you know, I think that's going to be in the back of people's minds.
What year was that Matt Corral? That was on 2022.
3 years ago, yeah, it was the
Yeah,
Pickett
yeah.
year.
Okay, so I like Dart better than I like Corral, and I like Matt Corral film, but um, yeah, I wasn't And I think I heard people, I can't remember if it was a him or Sam Howell. It had people saying he was the best quarterback in the draft. It was one of them two. And I was like, this was pre-draft, of course, and I was like,
I actually guilty. I liked both of them pre-draft, and then they both slipped to the 3rd and 5th round. I was like, I never liked them.
No, that I remember that draft. People was losing their mind about Malik Willis, thinking he was gonna get drafted high.
You talked about pre-NFL draft rookie drafts. I saw him go 102 in a lot of spots where Breece Hall went first and Malik Willis went second.
Mm-hmm. Who you got at number 4?
4, Jalen Milroe, upside. That's an easy. It's a cop out, one-word answer for him. Upside.
Oh, hey, when this video, I do play this video, I will have the correct answer going because that's the exact word I had. That's what I did last year with the video. I was like, ding, ding. Had the same exact answer. I think we had the same exact answer for like Brian Thomas last year or something like that.
I forget what it was, but I know we had at least one. And then I gotta scroll in my tiers here.
We've had to find out what type of guy you are, because this goes out the tier, and I hear a lot of people say different things.
Just because of how much his name's coming up, and I have a few guys tiered together, but at number 5, I'm gonna go with Tyler Shuck at 25 years old, experienced.
Explain to me the Tyler Shuck love. Why do people like this guy?
I honestly don't know. I talked about scrolling in my tiers. Like I went low. Like for Tyler Shuck, the reason I have him at number 5 is strictly because he is getting talked up a lot, and a lot of it might be a smokescreen, but getting talked up a lot as somebody that could go earlier in the NFL draft than people expect. But for your number 5, if you wanted Will Howard, Kyle McCord, Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, whoever, take
That's
your pick.
my number 5. Dylan Gabriel is my number 5.
Gabriel.
I just don't get. I don't know. Like, I'm looking at his profile that I got written up right now. I did like his film. Okay, got nice size. Ran a 4.63. That's decent. Did have a nice rushing share, but if you are an analytical guy, I don't see how you can get behind this guy whatsoever. I just can't. Like, what case can you really make for this guy? Like, you going off a lot of potential, because what have he done? What has
he's been
done?
in college for 7 years. That's what he's done.
He has not done anything that you can, like, I don't know. When I see the general with the GM that draft this guy, if he's drafted in the 2nd round, I'm just gonna question everything about that organization. I really am.
Yeah. All right, over to running backs. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Ashton Genty, complete. He's a complete back.
I put elite.
He's elite. Amari Hampton, I actually think he's a little underrated.
Underrated?
I think he is under.
How is the RB2 underrated?
If you talk to a lot of people that are saying that he should not be the running back 2.
I've heard some of that, but who the hell they got at the running back 2 if he shouldn't be the running back 2? Who do you like so much?
A lot of people really like Travion. I'm sticking with my answer, Terrence. Don't try to change my mind here.
No.
Underrated.
No. I'm just saying, I'm trying to process people having Travion Henderson over Amari Hampton, and a lot of people didn't like Amarion before the combat. I remember the talk about Amarion. It's the combat that won a lot of people over. I was high on Amarion before that but I already knew how he was going to test. Amarion Hampton, I mean, player profile have the perfect comp for him. Now I might have him a tad bit under, but Jonathan Taylor is a good comp for Amarion Hampton. And if more people heard that, you might want to get excited. You might,
Yeah,
if they give
even
him,
in super flex formats, Amari Hampton, he's been my 102. So I'm up there on him.
Only person I might draft over him if I got a bad team and I just need a quarterback and I'm not able to trade out the spot, I will draft Cam Ward. It's like I do have some orphans I took over, and I see why they are orphans because people it's not easy to go in these leagues and trade. I see exactly why they're orphans. I was like, they're acting like this and like it's hard. It's hard to trade in this league. They want something for nothing. But yeah, Marion is closer to Jonathan Taylor than people think.
And I know a lot of people are going to share your exact thought when they listen to that part. That you're going to get comments. Who the hell is undervaluing Amari and Hampton? I get it. I get it. Maybe I have the wrong algorithm or whatever on X. Maybe that's my issue. Travion Henderson, efficient. Like he's so efficient on a per touch basis. And then I'm going to throw another sentence in here. So efficient, but also like as a pass blocker, I think he's probably that one of the strengths in this class when you look at pass blocking running backs, Travion Henderson.
And I just put instantaneous. I don't even know why. Oh, because this man. Because I put great footwork, able to run full speed and adjust. Yeah, so put instantaneous for him. Judkins next for you, or what? Who we got next?
Can I change something? Because I don't want to have the same answer.
Okay.
Let me. Ashton Genty, I'm good with elite. Yes, elite. Amari and Hampton, I do want to change underrated. He's a complete back. I want to say complete for him. Travion efficient. Caleb Johnson, underrated.
Yeah.
Underrated.
He gonna stay underrated for me.
Get out of here. And then Quinshawn Judkins. I have Judkins and Caleb Johnson in the same tier, honestly. Judkins.
While you thinking, for me, I'm gonna go the opposite route for Caleb Johnson, and I'm gonna put overrated.
Terrence. Dude, I've always liked being able to jump on and talk with you, but this might have to be the end of our friendship here. This is unbelievable.
Hey man, we gotta take some stances.
You least suspect.
You gotta take some stances. Since you flag planting, hey, nah, I can't do
it. But again, honestly, that there's a lot of people that they share that sentiment on Caleb Johnson. But again, that's why I think he's a little underrated. Quinshawn Judkins. It's so tough because I like Quinshawn. There's negativity around him. He doesn't break a lot of tackles. He's not that involved in the passing game. Give me your word.
I put possibilities. This is a guy who I think of, we got to think about the Marvel universe. There is a number of timelines that can happen depending on where he goes and how he utilized. He can end up being an average running back, or he can end up being one of the best running backs in this class. A number of timelines could happen. Hey, I can't wait to see it, and I'm a bet on it. Why not?
Yeah, I think it's not one word, but a wide range of outcomes, I think is a good one for for Quinshon. Um, going to the wide receivers.
Now I will say one guy that I had in my top 5 was Dylan Sampson,
I like
and
Samson a lot.
I just put
Not
Bullet.
top 5, but I like Samson a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I got a high prospect score on, and I'm looking at it. It's tied with a few guys, so it's kind of in the same tier. Brashard Smith, um, Tootin. I see him
I
high
like
on
Tootin.
Tajay Brooks. I see him high on Tajay Brooks. LaQuinton Allen. So he's all in that tier, but I'm high on him, and your boy Zerline got a high grade on him. So might want to pay attention. Might want to pay attention.
No, I like Samson. It's not my top 5, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him up there from a production standpoint eventually. Wide
He's definitely
receivers,
landing spot dependent. So yeah,
yeah,
I
because he's
understand.
talked about it with Jackson Dart, but like coming out of that Lane Kiffin offense, it's like running backs in that Tennessee offense. It's kind of a very unique situation, and you never know how it's going to play out for them at the NFL.
Yeah.
All right, wide receivers. I have Tet and Travis Hunter tiered together. Uh, Travis Hunter. Uh, I'm gonna say a bully, and what I mean by that, there are no 50-50 balls with him. Like he is a get the ball kind of dude. I think he has an extremely high ceiling. I don't want to see him touch the defensive side of the ball. Just give me wide receiver snaps galore for him. But I think it was like almost a 70% contested catch rate or something like that in 2024. And I, a lot of people, like I said, down on Shador, you talked about maybe being out on Shador for fantasy purposes. I think Travis Hunter maybe made Shador look a little bit better than he is, and that's certainly up for debate. You could say he significantly made him look better, but yeah, I'm gonna say Travis Hunter. He's a bully dude.
My word for him, and I don't throw this word out lightly because I was making sure I didn't throw it out last year or this year with Ashton Genty, generational. I
Woo!
think if he plays how he want to play on both ends, it's going to be a setup for him to walk the yellow brick road to the Hall of Fame and get him a green jacket. That's as a setup. So he gonna need to stay healthy, of course. And if he get to play both sides like he won't, I'm telling you, it's gonna be made easy for him to walk and get that green jacket. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Tet McMillan. Uh, he's a solid wide receiver. I don't think he's going to be great. I think he's a very good receiver. Uh, I don't think he's ever going to be an elite fantasy asset. Like if we're talking about ceiling, Travis Hunter. But I think Tet's going to be a very good, solid wide receiver in the NFL.
I would have a word for him, but he's not a part of my top 5.
All right, all right.
So the word would be disappointing. I think he gonna disappoint folks. I think he's gonna be more Cedric Tillman than Drake London. Yeah, all
That's your
right.
soundbite right there for this episode. Woo!
Oh yeah. Oh, hey, that's the goal for this episode. Definitely the goal.
That's it right there. Next up, I have a Emeka Egbuka. Dangerous. And he's dangerous out of the slot. If he gets into a situation like Jaden Reed is so frustrating. Like Jaden Reed is a very good receiver, but in that offense, he's not always on the field, which is so frustrating. So if Emeka Egbuka can get in the right situation and he can work outside too, but I think even if he's used primarily out of the slot, as long as he's on the field, he's going to be dangerous out of the slot.
I think if I had a word for him, it'd be weapon. Definitely could be utilized as a good weapon.
All right. In my wide receiver 4 and 5 tier, I have Matthew Golden in there, but I think he is just overhyped. There's so many people talking about him as the first wide receiver off the board in the NFL draft, outside of Travis Hunter, outside like just looking at the other receivers. A lot of people have a mock number 12 to the Cowboys. He doesn't stand out from an analytical perspective. I'm not a huge film guy, but people seem to like him on film. But Matthew Golden, completely overhyped. Even though I have him here in my top 5, I think people are getting quite overzealous on him.
This guy right here, it took me a while to get on the board, and because I wasn't seeing it, but then I kind of looked at his analytics for just the playoffs, and then I understood. I was like, oh, okay, this looked totally different than a regular season. Looked totally different. If you start looking at the routes per yards ran and at the playoff compared to his regular season looks totally different. His uses and yardage look totally different. So I decided to get on the board. Now, this the guy that would have to be utilized as a weapon if he is to succeed, he's going to be utilized as a weapon. But I can definitely see him being overrated. But it's funny because a lot of times I do hear he's going to be the first wide receiver off the NFL draft, but I don't hear nobody talking about how they go draft him in their rookie drafts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So draft capital definitely will be holding him up.
For
That'll be
sure.
yeah.
It's going to be carrying a lot of weight whenever people are evaluating him. That's for sure. Last one for me at wide receiver, Luther Burden, forgotten. I think he, we talked about Devy earlier, Devy leagues. He was the wide receiver 1 in this class at one point in time. And then the 2024 season happened. I know I kind of rattled off some of the red flags and the negatives with his profile, talking about the large number of targets behind the line of scrimmage, but there are still a lot of positives to his game, and I think he's somebody that could easily rise right back up and make people remember why he was so highly valued after that 23 season.
Something just came to my mind. So my word is entertainment. That's what I put. He's entertaining. He feels like must see TV, yak guy,
Mm-hmm.
and all these people that's out on him. What if he was drafted to the 49ers to take Debo place? How many people would be in? Who would be back in, baby? Who's back in?
The bandwagon would have a line, waiting to get on.
Oh
You're not
yeah.
wrong.
And
You
it
are
just came
not
to my
wrong.
mind. I'm like, he could take Debo's spot. And I wonder where would he be going in drafts and how would people feel about him then? All that nonsense would go straight out the window, I bet.
Draft capital and landing spot and opportunity could make people forget about how maybe they felt about a prospect, for sure. All right, looking at tight ends here. I have Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland tiered together. Tyler Warren, late bloomer. He came on later in his career there at Penn State, but he gave you the raw numbers. He gave you the counting stats that just people gravitate towards. But all of that was, like I said, later in his career. So Tyler Warren, late bloomer, not the most positive of ways. If you're throwing one word out to describe somebody, but that's where I am on him.
I think I probably put jack of all trades. I mean, this
I was
guy.
going to say versatile. I was going to say
That's
versatile.
that's perfect because that would be one word actually. And this guy's a good football player. Now, I think I'm not as high as other people is on him. I think people have lost their mind when they put him in the same sentence as Brock Bowers. I don't even
Absolutely
think
not. Right.
I don't even think it's true that he's going to be drafted like 10th, 11th, or whatever people think he will get that high draft cap. I don't even believe that. For one, he needs to go somewhere to an offensive coordinator that's actually going to utilize him. And I don't think he's going to be fully utilized like he was at Penn State. Penn State got the most out of this guy. He was the offense. They was doing everything. He was throwing passes, taking snaps, running the ball. The man was doing everything. The man did
Yeah.
everything. If you think he's most likely going to go to a team where they're not going to utilize him to his full capability, that's most likely what will happen. And the man going to score points for you more like Michael Myers. He might just score like Michael Mayer. I mean, I'm
Maybe
be
he's
honest.
this generation's Taysom Hill.
If he's utilized like Taysom Hill,
There you go.
that's what I'm saying. Now, if he goes to Denver, woo! If he goes to Denver, woo! That's the blow your low spot right there.
That's
Blow
it.
your load. Because
People, I mean,
I know people love them some what's his name Loveland, but I think the coach would get the most out of Warren if he went to Denver. That would be the perfect connection. He would be better than Taysom Hill, so
I think Tyler Warren in Denver, and then let's see Colston Loveland go to the Chargers. I would like both of those landing
oof.
spots. So Colston Loveland, I talked about it with Warren, just the crazy stats, the eye popping numbers. Colston Loveland didn't have that, so I'm going to say underappreciated, but he was still heavily utilized in the way that offense worked from a market share perspective, whether it's receptions, yards, touchdowns, whatever the case may be. Um, he was just as pivotal the way the Michigan team worked, when comparing him to Penn State in Tyler Warren. So Colston Loveland, underappreciated.
I'm trying to think of a word that would make like prove it because I need the proof. I mean, he didn't pop out analytically for me. He didn't test. I'm feeling like he's a fake alpha, and I need him to prove it. I need the proof. I just need the proof. So I don't even know what would be the perfect word, but unidentified. MIA, missing it. I don't know. It'd be something because I need the proof. Show me the proof. Need to be in the pudding. So I need you to come and play. So one step of that would definitely be getting first round draft capital and going to a great landing spot. I'll definitely go ahead and nullify a lot of cautionary or red flags I might have in his profile. Like, okay, if you go to the Chargers, I can work with that because I'm hearing great things about you, and that would be a great landing spot. If you go to the Colts, you dead to me.
I think a lot of people are thinking that with the Colts for sure. Mason Taylor is my 3. For one word, I'm going to say riser. Throughout the whole process, whether it's for me, whether it's the way it seems like he's being viewed by the NFL and just kind of the hype that he's getting leading up to the NFL draft, I don't think it's unwarranted. I think I don't think it's overhyped. But I'm going to say a riser.
I'll pick pedigree. Um,
I swear to God, I I thought that was he's got the genetics, he's
yeah,
got it.
he know what they expect. I don't think he's gonna move the needle fantasy wise, but he'll be a decent NFL player.
Um, Next for me, I'm gonna go Elijah Arroyo. Athleticism, like it came through. I think he was a riser for people kind of coming out of nowhere, and it seems like we get that every year with at least one tight end, like Albert O. Even though he only ran the 40 back when he came into the league, Jelani Woods, but I think Elijah Arroyo, athleticism.
I'll put exciting. If you go to the right offense, definitely could be exciting.
And then number 5 for me, Harold Fannin. One word. Uh, it's not one word, but like chip on his shoulder. Coming from a small school, the dude put up nothing but huge numbers. We talked about it earlier. He's gonna prove himself. I'm gonna say again. I'm cheating here, but it's the last one. Whatever. Uh, Chip on his shoulder.
I'll go with ceiling. I think he have a chance to have a high ceiling. Now, I keep saying this can go multiple ways. This can go to the floor because matter of fact, let me see who player profile compare him to, because when I look at his profile, I see a lot of similarities to this other guy I did a profile on some years ago. I think his name was Brian Harrison. No, it's I got the names mixed up. Harrison Bryant.
Here you go. Yes, yes. I'm
Harrison
like
Bryant. So
Brian Harrison. I don't know who that dude is. Yeah, Harrison
Harrison
Bryant.
Bryant. So it kind of reminds me, some things with him. So that can be the floor. And then I heard people compare him to Juju Smith. So that means for him to be unlocked, he need to be utilized in a certain way. So to totally unlock him like Juju was used last year. And player profile compares him to Dalton Kincaid. I don't like that. I was never a Dalton Kincaid fan. I was never. I don't like that.
You're like, no, that one doesn't check it for me.
I
No,
don't
no.
like that. But all right, my guy, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your thoughts, giving me your time, and of course, tell the people where they can find you at.
Yeah. Find me on X at the Bauer Club. I'm one of the hosts of Dynasty Theory. We're part of the DD fantasy football community. We have a bunch of live content coming out for the NFL draft. So come check us out, subscribe to the YouTube channel. But yeah, Terrence, thanks for having me on, man. We got to meet through the FF Dynasty guys a few years ago. We chopped it up during a mock draft, and I think we've connected here a few times. But I'm like I said, to start the show, I'm glad that we finally could align our schedules and get something on the calendar here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I saw that you got with DD, and I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, joining the crew. I remember when I just used to play in leagues with Scott Connor, and before he blew up in the dynasty community, I watched it be a slow process. At first, my boy, what's his name, Flock Fantasy, used to get him on his channel, very small channel at the time. His very small channel used to get him on the channel, and just ask him to come on and do some episodes. And I watched Flock when he was small channel. I remember he said something bad about the Podfather. The Podfather mentioned his name, and his channel like doubled because of that. Like just a little beef with the pie power. Who the hell is Matt? Oh, I forgot. Is it Matt Dawson? I forgot his real name, but he was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Yeah, man. These guys come a long way. That's I love the Dynasty community, man. But I ain't gonna hold you up, man. Like I said, I appreciate your time. I'll holler back.